Alright. Good evening, Randomania fans. We are doing the spring tournament race between Life Reboot and One Fine Day. This is the Final Fantasy Randomizer Spring Tournament, and it looks like the racers are getting underway fairly soon. I'm joined in the booth by MG Weirdo. I'm Elastoid. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Happy to see this race get off to a start. I know we have a lot of action happening tonight.
So it looks like we've got a difference in party. Life Reboot going with the Fighter Thief, Red Mage, Black Mage that's seen a lot of play. One Fine Day is going to go with 2 Red Mages and a White Mage. This is a much less common strategy that you're seeing here, and we'll have to see if it pays off. If the White Magic is strong, it's going to pay off huge.
Yeah, and it also depends on what slots everything's in, because the Red Mage only learns certain spell slots and doesn't earn a lot of those high-level spells.
Yeah, so not much at the level 1 magic shop in either level. It looks like we've got Confuse and Stop. One Fine Day not gonna opt for Hold instead of Stop. Stop being a time elemental magic that's gonna hit everyone with Paralyze is gonna be probably more useful early. And chat says a fighter seed, but we also don't have much in the way of weaponry. It looks like One Fine Day purchased an iron staff for the fighter. So, we're going to see how we can handle this, and it looks like One Fine Day going to immediately jump into Temple of Fiends, though, instead of going for pirates.
Yeah, I would be really tempted to head east to Provoca for the pirates, check out the level 2 magic, maybe. But then again, you need to figure out where you're getting those first couple of levels from, and maybe that's just taking an imp fight. So we'll see what Life Reboot does as finishes up his shopping.
Exactly, yeah. So use it, One Fine Day picking up the Confuse spell, that's not typically going to be super useful. But against those pirates, they only have 9 HP in vanilla, so Confuse spell can actually do a pretty fair job of almost wiping them out. So
yeah, when they start hitting themselves or each other, they're one of the few enemies that they can actually kill.
Yeah. So it looks like One Fine Day going to put his White Mage in front, trying to hopefully survive this Garland fight. And Garland has Brack, and that's going to be a Temple of Fiends. One Fine Day going back into it, though, not looking to make the Provoca play.
Well, I think that's largely because of the one find in those top left chests, and that was a light axe. So with that light axe, I would be tempted to hunt around for one of these zombie encounters, bones, a ghoul, something like that, because the light axe with that harm 2 will take those out really quick, and that'll give you that bump that you need.
Yeah, the light axe can be effective for that. Little interest in oh no, you don't have the White Mage. Well then, you shouldn't have got the Iron Hammer. I was gonna say it was interesting that Life Reboot got the Iron Hammer because the White Mage could use it after, but that didn't wind up panning out for him. And Garland is confused on Life Reboot's side and paralyzed, so Garland not going to be bracking anybody anytime soon.
Yeah, nice use of that early magic. Gets level 2 on his characters and a free teleport back to get his loot from the king. And Princess Sarah is going to hand us a bottle. So, French vanilla loot.
Yeah, and that bottle also not going to be any kind of progression early. It's good to get those key items for the XP, but that's all it's going to be for right now. So, bottle particularly, it's what you're looking for early is just an easy way to fly, and when you find the bottle, you know that you're never going to use that until you're flying, so. Well, it looks like One Fine Day having difficulty with these fights in Temple of Fiends. Failing a lot of runs early, and once again gonna fight Garland with minimal party. But the hold's
However, he
going to
gets
go
the hold
off.
off. Yep.
The hold's going to go off, so hopefully this is going to work out a little better. Yep,
Yeah.
74 damage from the light axe. Garland's terminated. And at least 2 of One Fine Day's party members going to be level 3.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting that hold off also reduces his physical defenses, so you know you're going to hit. And that with the light axe, that's a great find.
So we find the Lit 3 in level 2 magic. There's a spell that we like to see. We also like to see Fast being Red Mage learnable. So that's going to be much easier time for One Fine Day. If Fast were, for example, at level 6, then he might be locked out of that.
Yeah, and the white magic was not really useful. I caught a harm, a soft, and a heal, so none of those really that fade or anything really fun that One Fine Day is looking for.
Yeah, and heal is like, it's not particularly useful. It can save you some heal pots, but it's not like it's not fast to use it or particularly useful. So looks like that white mage, unless things improve, probably going to take a dirt nap on One Fine Day's side. OFD known not to have too many free rides in his parties. If you can't pull your weight, he'll leave you behind.
Yeah, and looking at this, I was going to say, we had an early chainmail for 37 gold, but our houses and our cabins are both fairly expensive, as are our heal pots at 52, so nothing really going their way in terms of money, so it'll take them a while to get going in equipment.
Absolutely, and he saw in the Provoca Armory shop a lot of reasons to get some money, because we saw silver bracelets were available at 4,000, and, well, that steel armor isn't going to be necessary if we have the flame armor right there. So, silver bracelets, though, will be useful for the mages. That'll be more important on Life Reboot's side, with having 2 party members who are unable to equip the chain armor. One Fine Day's got chain armor on his red mages. He's going to be fine for the foreseeable future.
Yep, and here we see what is a veteran move by One Fine Day, where he uses the bottle to manipulate where his potions and where everything is going to end up in his inventory, making that just a little bit faster to use, and which means he's going to save those seconds, and they add up over the course of a season.
Absolutely. I would have liked to see him hold on to it until it was a dungeon, because right now the position in his items isn't going to be super important. He's not using a lot of heal pots, but it's always a thing you can do. Just when you use the bottle can be easily optimized. You don't want to wind up using it when you're running into Gaia, because you'll have so many chances to already have menued for it. That said, it's very rare that people are going to lose a race by the 3 seconds they lost menuing one more time for that bottle.
Yeah, I guess I'm thinking of every time you use heal pots, is when you're going to pick up a significant amount of time.
Oh,
and we've seen a couple of races this tournament where, I mean, over the course of a seed, it might be 2 or 3 minutes. We've seen a couple of races that were that close.
So One Fine Day gonna take this pirate fight. Gonna get his lit 3s off. So this should be a fairly quick fight, and then he's gonna have the crown turn in. Life Reboot going for the dwarf cave checks.
Yeah, and like everything else in this race, or in this tournament, in these Swiss flags, we are looking for that loose canal. So the canal will not be at an incentive location. We've got to go out there and find it, and Matoya and Dwarves and those Temple of Fiends chests are certainly early locations that are relatively easy checks that we might as well find out.
Absolutely. It's important to check the dwarf cave before you go diving through Marsh Cave. You know, you hate to see it happens a couple times where somebody goes through a real difficult Marsh Cave finding nothing, and then remembers, oh yeah, I didn't check like the Matoya chest, and finds the canal they were looking for.
Yep, and then we do have that crown turn in, but unfortunately we can't get to Astos from the dwarf caves quite yet. Extended open progression is not on, just open progression, so we don't have a way through there without the canal. So Life Reboot taking a bit of a risk there, selling the Opal Shield for some cash for level 3 and level 4 spells. Let's see what we get.
Yeah, and I really like this play. We see Brack at level 3 as our just lack of any good magic seems to continue here. But and Life 2 is going to be Red Mage learnable, and that's real important, and that's probably going to be the final nail in the coffin for this White Mage. So we pick up a Thor Hammer. That Thor Hammer goes immediately into your inventory, I believe, so you could use it for this fight.
Yeah, and whatever you do, whatever Astos gives you is in your inventory before you start the fight.
Okay, and we have a White Mage learnable only Fade. So maybe, depending on what's at 4th level, maybe... yeah, you got Ice 3 though. Fade is better than Ice 3, but it's not so much better that I think it warrants keeping a White Mage alive. But we'll see what One Fine Day chooses to do.
Well, One Fine Day isn't bothering with that. He is racing for this canal down into Marsh Cave, weaving his way in between the bats, trying to make it down to the top for these first 4 chests.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with this play. I feel like after his early troubles in Temple of Fiends, he's going to feel like he's something like 90 seconds to 2 minutes behind, and just making a minor optimization so he doesn't have to feel behind the whole time, that's not bad. And also, having the Thor Hammer, he knows that he's not going to run out of spell charges. He's got the Light Axe as well, which is going to be useful for a lot of these encounters. So, he knows he's not going to have too much trouble. And he finds a loose floater in Marsh Cave.
Oh,
that
baby.
Is potentially huge. It looks like you're going to find a canal in here too, so that's going to be fairly useful, because it means that we're always going to be checking Marsh Cave. If we were to find the canal somewhere else, then that would be a potential game changer when one player finds the loose floater and the other one skips the whole dungeon.
Yeah,
but yeah,
well,
we're going to expect him to walk this one out.
Yeah, and fortunately for Life Reboot, it's not going to be possible for him to skip the dungeon entirely, since he doesn't have either canal or canoe to be able to get anywhere else. So probably going to find that floater, but yeah, certainly. And the other thing is, you want to find that floater before you find the canoe, because now you have it. As soon as you find the canoe, you can go turn in that floater, get into the air, and that makes travel so much faster and so much more efficient.
Yeah, so what we're looking at right now, typically you're going to go upstairs play first. If Life Reboot does, then he's going to find that floater. If he goes downstairs, okay, no, he's fine. When the only time you ever would consider going downstairs first is if you have the key. Checking the key lock downstairs plus the 2 link chests can often make downstairs the better play initially.
Right.
In this case, the top 4 is just best to check.
Yeah, I would say especially if you know that like the Marsh incentive or the Marsh key locked are going to have an incentive item, but neither of those will have an incentive item in these flags. Our incentive flags are going to be Titan's Trove, Ice Cave, Ordeals, and then the Volcano.
Yeah. One Fine Day, and interestingly, keeping that Thor Hammer on the fighter, I think I probably would have moved that down to the White Mage to give her something to do as well. But, I mean, he's
having
still making
all the
good
different
progress.
Having all the different characters with an attack, especially some sort of sweeper attack, it is very much a good play. And I don't remember if the White Mage can wield the Thor Hammer, but I believe the White Wizard can.
The White Wizard can, and The White Mage cannot. The White Mage cannot use that as a weapon.
Right, well, hopefully if you have that, you're not really swinging it anyway.
Yeah, even the fighter can't use the Thor hammer as a weapon. But yeah, it's very rare that you're going to be attacking with the Thor hammer and doing more damage than you would just using it as an item. So the White Mage gonna fall down. This potentially something that One Fine Day wanted to see. We're gonna see if he brings it back up. As both players, like, they found the floater, but that's not what they needed. It's definitely what they wanted to find, but they would much prefer right now to find a canal. And the Red Mage gonna use the Thor hammer on a fairly easy spike tile to find here. And the canal was behind that, so found the canal, and it looks like we're just gonna nope out of this dungeon. No need to see if it's got anything to throw at us. You know, One Fine Day not particularly interested in the remaining 3 chests.
Yeah, so only a couple of chests left, so this is a reasonable play to get out of here without assuming that your one remaining loose is not in one of those chests.
Oh yeah, and he went upstairs first, so the remaining 2 chests. Yeah, just not worth doing the full clear. We're gonna see if Life Reboot does the same thing. It's possible we're gonna find like a Mass Mune in one of those chests that he skipped, but it's unlikely.
Yeah, and we see Elastoid just like One Fine Day making that veteran move that hop out after hitting the top and then saving, just so that they don't lose all their progress before diving back in.
You mean Life Reboot doing it, but yeah.
Well, One Fine Day did it as well when.
No, I mean you called it Elastoid.
Between top and bottom. Oh, sorry.
No worries.
You're Elastoid. You're not racing too?
No. Not again today. I had a fun enough race. So Life Reboot doesn't know the layout of this floor nearly as well. So he takes one of the linked chests. So that top chest that he found in there, for anybody who's learning this, that first chest that you saw him take in that top room is actually linked to the second chest in here. So he's going to find an empty chest here. There.
Yep, and this is Falconic School of Dungeon Routing. If you want to check in the Discord, there's a bunch of resources in there that, you know, spell out which chests are linked, meaning that if you open one and get the goods out of it, it's the same chest. It links to the same magical space that holds an entire canal inside of a box. And so there's resources that show you that and the optimal routes through these dungeons.
So, One Fine Day, potentially importantly, going to pick up Ruse on his Red Mages. Ruse is a good spell, not always required, but can often be useful. And there's another linked chest. That chest that he just checked is linked to upstairs. So if you haven't cleared upstairs yet, you want to grab that chest. If you have cleared upstairs, you don't need to. So going downstairs first, we'll orphan 2 chests upstairs.
Right, but then again, that's only 2 chests left behind. That's not bad.
Yeah, it's really not, which is why when you've got the key downstairs is often the better play. So we see pro rings for 9,000 in Elfland. It's not affordable right now, but it is fairly cheap. So it's likely that we'll be back here to grab 3 or 4 pro rings. As One Fine Day is gonna bring his White Mage back up. It seems that the fade was enough to buy her life.
Yeah, and I can understand wanting those sweeper casts, especially early on like this, before you get a whole bunch of spell charges. Those, 2 extra charges, 1 extra charge might be the difference between making it through a dungeon and not. We still haven't
Absolutely.
found like a really good place to grind and get some levels and earn all the spell charges. So it looks like One Fine Day has skipping Melmond for now and heading straight for Crescent Lake. So he's going to go talk to the sages, and fortunately they're not confused today. They're all stuck on their benches, so they'll pick up whatever item they hold for it.
Yeah, the Confused Old Men flag, one of the flags that was fairly popular among viewers and just dragged through the mud among the runners. Nobody enjoyed it because it was essentially take an extra 45 seconds flag.
Yeah, well, and those weren't so bad, but when the one old man gets stuck on the path and gets in your way, that can be really frustrating because you can't do anything about it other than wait for him to decide to move in the right way.
So we're just picking some armor up on lifereboot's side. One Fine Day got a little bit of a lead, but not too significant. It's possible that the difference in party will matter more than any current position on the map right now. So we'll still anybody's race to lose.
Yeah, certainly One Fine Day was a little bit behind, heading down toward Elfland, but then he skipped Elfland entirely, went straight for Astos and Marsh Cave, where Life Reboot took his time going through the shops, and that and some minor, very small differences in Marsh Cave are the difference right now.
Yeah. In this case, we Life Reboot is a fairly new runner. One Fine Day is a seasoned veteran. Definitely going to be favored to win this one. Was one of the premier runners back in the league a couple of years ago in Le Tour de Conneria, but still anyone's game. And we find the canoe from the sages. That is a vanilla canoe, and that puts 4 dungeons on the board. A 4 incentive dungeon.
That is also very convenient, not just it being vanilla, but it being right there, so it's just a short canoe trip down the river, hop out the floater, and we are airborne at 21 minutes in.
Yeah, so very easy to get flying this seed. It looks like we're going to immediately do some incentive checks with Sarda. Probably going to look for the vendor item as well. They turn that adamant in. And then when it comes time to dig dungeons, you've got Ordeals, you've got Waterfall, you've got Gurgu, and you've got Ice Cave. What are you thinking you would do?
With these levels, I'm probably okay. I mean, the big choice is between Volcano and Volcano Armory for some gear and some money, or heading north to do Ordeals, and that's really a comfort level thing. I would probably be fine going Ordeals and then over toward Waterfall, and then I can also check Onrak and the Caravan for the shop item. You can also go straight to Gaia and turn in your bottle. So all of those are good, easy checks, and it looks like we're getting a third option, actually.
Yeah, he's going to grab the free chest in Cardia first before he digs any dungeon. I got to agree with this a little bit. He still could use a lot of gold, and at the same time, if you find a loose item, that would be the second loose, and he would know he could go mode any dungeon he ran through.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on what equipment you need, and certainly he's in good shape. I've been seeing a few more Cardia Island checks with this particular flag set, and I'm not sure exactly why that is, but it's certainly notable that we're more likely to find our loose items out here, we're more likely to find good equipment out here, or just need to check them in the first place.
Yeah, it looks like One Fine Day feeling fairly confident. Just going to be very methodical about this, going to check all the chests that he knows are out there. He's not looking for any chance to put himself at a deficit. So he's willing to spend 90 seconds doing these free chests because he knows worst case scenario he loses 90 seconds. Whereas if he dodges them, then worst case scenario he's missing out on something important that's loose.
Yep. Life Reboot taking a different path, going straight to Gaia, finding nothing in the item shop. I mean, just some heal potions and tents. Did not check any of the magic here, so is not interested in learning what's in those level 7 and 8 slots. And is going to head over to a tiny fairy and see what she has for us.
Yes. And it looks like One Fine Day is making the Ordeals play. Gonna burn all of his magic on the way there. He's got plenty of houses, and he's looking to gain some levels on the way. So he's gonna be taking things like this Saria.
Yeah, I guess the thing that I would be looking for One Fine Day is, did he bring a house or two along? Did he make that investment? They were relatively expensive, but that'll make a big difference in his ability to clear ordeals.
Yeah, One Fine Day has 9 houses last I saw, so he's gonna be perfectly fine in terms of using these spells.
Yeah, and that's smart. He can get all those charges back, and then keep going, unless you have somebody like an iguana with, I think that was damage poison.
Yeah. Damage poison can be a drag, but it's good to find it on an iguana, something that you're not going to run into too much. I mean, it'll be around an Earth Cave, but if everything goes well in Earth Cave, you're never going to really see it. It'll also be around in Armory floor of Gurgu, so potentially more of a concern there.
Yeah, but still is one of those monsters that's not in a huge number of encounters and locations. So you're right, it's not that big of an issue.
Absolutely. You're always rooting for really difficult T-Rexes and Iron Galls because you're never going to see them.
Yeah.
These man cats with
things
lip.
I don't want to see. I'm not so worried about the lit, but man cats they are magic resistant to just about everything, and they're just really annoying.
Yes, man cats are usually high enough HP that they don't go down to one sweeper unless it's like a nuke. So sitting there with the lit 3, you're just not willing to blow charges into them.
And on the other screen, I saw the slab at the Oasis for about 15k, so Life Reboot picked that up, had just enough cash to take care of that.
Yeah, Life Reboot gonna invest in Rosetta Stone. It's incredibly expensive, even with Dr. Oon teaching you, but feels like it's a good investment to learn a language, so he's gonna see if it gets him anything from Lufang. Meanwhile, he's going to pick up the adamant from Sarda. We know that is going to turn into... actually, what did that turn into?
I don't think we know yet.
I think that was the Oxyale. So yeah, the adamant should be required.
Okay, then that's something I missed. I'll get that updated in these notes here.
Yeah, looks like Sonny, our tracker, totally caught back because I didn't see the Oxale, but big shout out to our tracker for keeping on the ball there and finding that.
Yeah, especially coming into a new randomizer and just volunteering straight off. So we really appreciate your help tonight.
Yes. For anyone enjoying this, feel free to join our Discord. It's a great FFR community, and we always hope to see new people in here. And anybody jumping in like Sonny who wants to immediately volunteer and do some tracking or some commentary, we often will have room for you. And if you're looking to get a few races in, obviously entry is closed right now for the spring tournament, but now's still a great time to take up the randomizer, because if you ever want to race, someone's always willing to do it. It's
people
never
are
hard at any time of the day to find a race.
No, and honestly, I came in toward the tail end of last year's spring tournament, and I found watching these races and tracking these races a great way to learn where everything was, what the names for the locations were, but then just listening to commentary and listening to some of these experienced runners and learning how their minds work. What are the things that you do that are better plays than others? And
absolutely.
And Math Girl, 100% yes. If you have time tomorrow, then pick a race and I'll track it with you and we'll teach you. If not me, then you can take it up with Danny, and she's our reigning tracker supreme. Although I'm trying to steal her throne this year.
Oh yeah, best of luck, man. Yeah, Danny is famous. Like she's in front of everybody. It's very difficult to work harder than she does. Although anyone who wants to give her a run for her money, we're always glad to see it.
And so I guess that tail was in Ordeals, which makes that vanilla. Yeah,
there's actually been a lot of vanilla. We got a vanilla canoe. We got a vanilla tail. It was a French vanilla loot there. So a lot of stuff turning out where it's normally gonna show up.
Yeah, and then Life Reboot hikes down to Lefane to find a crystal, turns that in for one of those nice but not necessary items, a opal bracelet, great wizard armor, but again, not a required item, not gonna, it's nice but not necessary.
Yeah, and when you're spending that much time trying to find it, that's a bit of a whammy prize. You're always looking for something that's going to help you progress through the game. If you find all the incentivized, required items early, then that means that you can avoid some of the non-essential dungeons, and that's always going to save you some time. But unfortunately for Life Reboot, that slab just turned into an opal Cheerio. But I guess fortunately for him, One Fine Day gonna make the same play.
Yeah, well, and it's not all bad. I mean, we saw One Fine Day get a big advantage by going to Astos early, and so if you get that Thor hammer in the late game, that's often a big zero, because it doesn't really help you that much. But getting it that early can actually really help him clear through Marsh and get through stuff a lot faster.
Absolutely, especially in a seed where the magic isn't great. As Life Reboot making a sort of an important play to check all of the trap tiles here in Earth. It looks like he's looking for a grind. It can be very useful to have these extra levels, but if you're grinding, as a general rule, it's better to grind early than late. Because when people grind right before Topher, that means the only time those levels will benefit them is in Topher. Whereas if you grind early in the seed, first 30 minutes, that means that you're going to have those levels for the rest of the seed. And it looks like Life Reboot aware of that, always looking for an easy grind early.
Yeah, as Jonathan Yoshi says in chat, the Peds had damage poison, so One Fine Day got out of there and came back in. He also picked up a ribbon that I didn't catch where that was, but that's a huge piece of armor, a huge gain early on.
Yeah, you're always going to want at least one ribbon. Ideally, you have two, because then if you have two on your Life 2 casters, then you know that it's going to be very, very, very hard to wipe. Even when you're dealing with a gatekeeper like a Kraken that wants to punch really hard, you can usually eke your way through with one of your live casters and continue through. As One Fine Day going to find the kind of grind tile that Life Reboot was looking for. This Nightmare Evil Man encounter is going to yield a few thousand XP.
It's not a grind tile I would be looking for. I'd typically a little bit more dangerous, although in the randomizer not as dangerous as vanilla, since those evil men are less likely to have their nuke. It's likely shuffled away to somebody else, but just not, I mean, still worth checking, and especially picking up that white shirt in the armory, worth having, but there are better grind tiles out there, I think. So I think I'd take it once and keep on going.
There are better. It's gonna depend on the stats of the encounter, right? Like if the it looks like they rolled low HP, so one fine day gonna take this fight at least one more time because he's got that fade. But yeah, it depends entirely on how much damage they're doing, what skills they have. They're a little more beefy than some of the earlier or better tiles, like they're beefier than an eye, but they have comparable XP to it, and it looks like they're not going to be doing too much damage. So
one fine day making me look silly. That's, I guess it's one of those. You can keep going looking for stuff, or you can take what you got, and he feels like he has the spell charges and the horsepower to take them out now. Pick up a few easy levels.
Don't feel too silly. He discovers that they're sitting on fire too, so he's going to heal up, and I doubt he's going to take this tile again. And now I feel silly. No, he does discover that this tile has fire too, though, so it's going to be a little bit less free than we were giving it credit for. Although he's got the ice 3, and that's going to take the nightmare down in one go. Nightmare's, of course, weak to ice. So he's going to take his level 15 and then finally be done.
Yeah, and Warp was level 5, so I don't think he has any or had any charges before he started this dungeon, so he's got to head out and house. I didn't see if he actually picked it up in Melmond or not, but Warp was level 5.
He sold the light axe so he could afford the Warp spell. So definitely looking to use that probably in Ice Cave. So
yeah. But it's a great tool here too. There's some of these chests that are off in the distance that we're getting towards here. Makes the floor very easy if you can warp back to the end of the last floor, and then also for the incentive check down in the Carrie's floor where you can warp out without having to take those trap tiles a second time.
Absolutely, and it looks like because he's got the life 2 charges, he doesn't even worry about losing one of his party members to that damage poison. He's got the ribbon, and he knows that he's going to be fine here. So even when he's ambushing these peeds, not going to take the fight, just looking to progress forward. He got all the XP he's going to need. He's at level 15 now. That is huge for Gurgu. So expecting very little trouble in the early game, just going to continue through. Yeah, and you can see that damage poison almost wiping out Life Reboot's whole party. He's going to have to reset out, and that's because he's at level 9, whereas One Fine Day is level 15. He just has a lot more HP. So the ribbon's going to help, but also just having that higher HP means you can survive a damage poison without having to reset out.
Yeah, and then you also get a little bit more magic defense as you level up, although it's not much, but every little bit counts. Makes you more likely to roll your save and take less damage.
Absolutely.
So One Fine Day making his way further down through all these lava floors and is going to check our next big treasure location, which is the Agama floor.
Yes, this is one of everybody's favorite floors. I'm actually more likely to clear this than the armory floor because it's got so many greed chests that are just on the way. But
yeah, then the one or two rooms that are one or two rooms in here that are sorry, last way.
Just you're exactly right. The one or two rooms that are out of the way are not so far out of the way that they're not worth grabbing, right?
Yeah, and then they also, like this one, it has 5 chests in it, so that's while it's a few steps, it's the steps per chest are actually not too bad.
Absolutely. It seems like it's a long floor, but because you can walk on lava through most of it, it's not a problem. And One Fine Day knew that this fight was coming here, so he's gonna take this fight and gain a little bit more the XP here. Possibly gonna get level 16 off of this fight, although if not, he'll have it by the time he's out of this dungeon.
Yeah, and certainly this is, level 16 as you called, and that's plenty of levels to take on Carry down at the bottom. So he'll be able to make it through Volcano all the way through in one shot, which is always a great time save if you can do that to a dungeon.
Yeah, level 16 is close to the level that you beat the vanilla game at. I believe that the world record route without RNG manipulation fights Chaos at level 17. So, yeah, obviously, level 16 fairly strong for getting through any of these early orb dungeons.
Yeah, and I know I was talking about this earlier on another stream, but Carrie's always the fiend that I have to make myself pay the most attention to. She, especially in the randomizer, she can roll just strong enough to where, a level 12 or 13 party can't make it through her, and you don't always expect it. We're always pretty scared of Kraken. We're always, more wary, so we're more prepared for him.
Yeah, Carry always a dangerous fiend because, Lich is just generally not dangerous, and you're typically way more prepared for a Kraken or a Tiamat, and even if you weren't, there's always the silly Brack strats. But you'll see a lot of people wipe to Carry.
Yep, and here we get probably one of the worst trap tiles to get, this 5-pack of lobsters, because they hit hard, they hit often, and they will do a lot of damage to your party, as we're seeing. And One Fine Day gets away.
It's the exact same trap tile for the Agamas as was in the seed I just played. So that's sort of funny. I'm enjoying that. So One Fine Day gonna have to take that fight at least twice more, but gonna ambush it the first time. And this is a fight that he wants to see as long as it's easy, because these waters, they're gonna go down to this Ice 3 fairly fast, and they've got a lot of XP for him. So fortunately he's got like half the encounter right now, so he can see sort of how tough these waters are. They look pretty tough. I don't think that he's gonna want to take this fight any extra times.
Yeah, this is one of the highest XP fights in the game. If you can actually get through it at a reasonable rate, and he's going to use that warp to get out of there. So he only had to take that lobster trap tile once to get through. Picks up his key from the incentive location, and is on his way for his first fiend.
And trying to run from the bulls very nearly had 4 party members waiting there. That always feels silly when you have that happen, where you just basically grant them a free surprise round. But I've done that before. It's harder to do with 4 party members, but when you're running 3-man or 2-man, it's real easy to just automatically try to run from something and then go, oh wait.
Oh wait, I waited?
Yeah.
And here we go into Carry, so thinking about his strategy, using fast on the fighter, looks like an invis, so it looks like a buffing melee strat is what we're going with. And the first swing was that 3 hits for 31.
Oh wow! And Carry gonna do 240 damage with the first swing at that white mage. So the red mage is gonna switch to using the status attack magic. Carry weak 2 status ailment magic, so that hole's gonna connect, and now the white mage is unfortunately unable to, or the red mage is unfortunately unable to do much damage, so they're gonna try and buff themselves up.
Yep, Saber is the same thing that the Power Gauntlet casts on you, only usable on yourself, but is twice as good as a Temper in terms of attack power. So he's got a hold of land and using that Saber to buff the red mages while the fighter keeps swinging away trying to break through. And looks like Carrie is back in this fight.
Yeah, Carrie cured, but still gonna throw out that hold, and nope, Carrie's gone. That buffed up Ice Sword with the fast and the saber charges was enough. Carrie goes down, and One Fine Day will clear its first orb at about 44-24. And One Fine Day immediately, not even bothering with the key lock checks, is immediately gonna go make this Ice Cave play. If I were a gambling man, and what better time to gamble than in Monte Chaos's casino in these particular themes. But if I were gambling, I would say that One Fine Day is going to do the warp play and then probably just try to get out of here.
Yeah, it's a gamble I've seen a couple of other runners pull off this tournament, and for some of them it's been successful, and then other times I've seen loose items down here in the bottom of Marsh. So certainly Warp will make one less trip through this dungeon, one less loop possible, so it means it's a lot less scary.
Yeah, and there's a decent chance that he's gonna find Go mode. Alright, so he needs to find the chime, the rod and the cube, so he can't find Go mode from any one given item, but he definitely going to be looking around for something. And given that you already know where one of the loose items was, right, it's always possible that the other loose item is either the power bonk or is the power bonk, so potentially going to be a thing. Although at the same time they did find two whammies, so yeah, One Fine Day probably could be wrong in full clear here.
Yeah, I think you still want to clear, especially if you're playing the seed really well, like One Fine Day is. I think you go through and you make sure that you're not going to get beaten by last locationing one of these loose items down in the bottom of a dungeon.
Yeah.
Marsh feels a little different than, like, what is it, 11 chests down here?
Yeah, it's a lot more of a safe play to make to orphan chests when you found one loose item, but it becomes less safe to make when you find because we've already found the opal bracelet and the Thor hammer, so he knows that there's actually a really good chance that loose item is required. Because yeah, we've also found the tail and the floater, so even if you were okay Go modem without floater, we're still got about a 50-50 chance of absolutely needing that loose item.
Yep, and then the incentive item he picks up is the herb, so that is one of those, well, who knows what it's going to be. And picks up an Aegis shield, a mage staff, so some nice items down here, but no loose and still no endgame sword that I've seen yet.
So, trying to figure out what Life Reboot's doing here. Looks like he's trying to Dan a party member, or... Yeah.
Oh, he's out of heals, so he...
Okay, so out of heal potions, he's using Life Tutor to heal up. That's not a terrible play. Didn't quite work out the way he wanted it to with that Agama casting Frost, though. It meant that rather than just healing up his Black Mage, he wound up taking a fair amount of damage for his whole party.
Yep, and that thief gets knocked down again, but he sees that... So he's using Confuse. This is the one place that Wizard Staff is super useful. And his fighter goes down. Confuse is not landing. Carrie is well fighting back, and this looks like this fight's going to be a tough one.
Carrie does get confused, so we've still theoretically got a chance for this fight, but we're running low on those charges, and we don't have a whole lot of damage spell. And Carrie's instantly going to be cured. So this fight does not look like it's going to go well.
Yeah, Brack is not a great strat to use on carry.
But then it's all you have, right?
Yeah, if that's what you got, it was either that or lit 3s, which aren't going to do enough damage, I don't think.
Yeah, carry going to waste time on ink, and we are out of spell charges on this red mage. We have nothing.
So I guess you might as well swing.
Yep, and with that black mage going down, this is over. So
Okay,
lifereboot taking a costly wipe to carry, gonna just nope out of there. He knows that he didn't find anything that was immediately important, so gonna look for levels somewhere else.
And head straight to the Peninsula of Power, so this is an old school grind spot, but he's gonna grind there, and I think chat noticed it too, that lifereboot was much lower level going into that fight, and Carrie took advantage of it.
Yeah, he also had lower HP given that the Frost Breath landed on the fighter there. That fighter needed some HP, because he was the only one with any absorb. He was the only one that was going to be able to take that damage. Meanwhile, the pop grind, more traditionally an important grind when you're not already flying. When you are able to fly, there's plenty of other places on the overworld you can go. But this is a familiar place to a lot of people, so they often still go here.
Yeah, and certainly it is a good encounter zone and easy enough to pick up some fights that are worth taking. One Fine Day, in the meantime, got through ice, used his key to check using his key to check all these locked item locations, and in the Canaria treasury, he picked up not only a black shirt, but the power bonk. And so he has found his second loose item, and now just found a Vorpal in the Northwest Castle treasury, so that's our endgame weapon we were looking for.
Yeah, Vorpal, not the best of the endgame weapons, but it's one that, you know, if you find it, you know that you can use it. You know, you might not enjoy using it, but you'll know that you can. So, in terms of things that you have to check off the list, finding an endgame sword, that's already done. And
and if you've got a power bonk, that puts the Vorpal as a reasonable weapon to use. Its strength is its crit chance, its weakness is its damage.
Yep. The herb gonna lead to the ruby, so we'll see what that is. One Fine Day, not gonna nothing that he finds is gonna confirm that he can be in go mode. The only thing that he could find that would really be knowledge would be is if he found the power bonk, because if one of these incentivized items becomes the power bonk, then he knows that that loose item is going to be required and could potentially be something important, like something that doesn't block a lot of chests. Like if it's a loose rod, then it's going to be hard to find. It could be anywhere.
And here we get the TNT, and if I'm doing my logic correct, this should either lead to the rod or the cube.
I would say you're correct.
Then the waterfall will have the other of those two.
Well, or the power bonk, right?
Well, we found the power bonk. It was loose in the Canaria treasury, so we know where it is. One Fine Day is in true go mode.
Oh yeah, if you found the power bonk, my bad, then he's definitely in no mode, and knows that he can find the remaining items in the waterfall and whatever it is that he hasn't turned in yet.
He has to turn in the bottle, and then I guess he could also turn in the slab to get the crystal, to get the opal bracelet.
Oh, but he used that bottle fairly early. There's a good chance that the One Fine Day has forgotten that he used that bottle.
Yeah, but I doubt that he'll forget that he's found 2 loose items now. Although the power bonk, if there's something you're gonna forget is loose, that might be one of it, because it's not one of our incentive items.
Yes,
So,
and the floater also comes
yeah,
very early. So, I mean, you usually remember when you find something in Marsh Cave, but when it comes early, you can often forget it. So, like, fingers crossed that he doesn't go digging unneeded chests, as it looks like arachnids have death touch. So, death touch arachnids not likely to be a huge factor here. We've got 4 Life 2 casters in one1fineDay's party. He's not going to be too afraid to wipe on anything, but it's potentially going to be more of a factor later in the game.
well, even so, I mean, man, it's nasty. When Earth Cave is importing spiders from Australia, so they're all, they just kill you by looking at you. But one1fineday certainly knows that he doesn't need to check locations. He is skipping everything but the freest of checks. Skipped all of Earth 2 and Earth 1. Only thing slowing him down are these bats. Although now that I say that, now he's checking. Well, he didn't check the one really out of the way chest in Earth 3 here, but he's checked the rest of them along the way.
Yeah, he's gonna orphan that one chest. He knows. Well, I mean, he's theoretically in no mode, so he should know that he doesn't need it. So most of his checks are gonna be greedy.
Right. Well, and he might still be looking for some armor or some other weaponry.
Absolutely. You would expect him to do more of the checks in Sea Shrine or Sky Palace, where you're going to get a lot better XP. But he's got the rod. He knows he can complete this dungeon first, so he's going to do that before he turns in the last of his incentives.
Yeah, and he was also fairly close to this, so while airship flying time isn't very much, it's still a consideration. He can knock this out while he's over here, sweep up through all the northern stuff, and then when he comes back down, he'll just be able to go straight to the Temple of Fiends Revisited, I believe.
So both runners making fairly fast progress through these dungeons. Lifereboot gonna go for round 2 against Carrie after having ground a little bit.
Yeah, and I like this play by one1fineday. So this is Earth Force Armory to me. So it's 5 chests, there's 2 trap dials in here, and especially with Warp, this isn't nearly as long of a check as it seems, so he uses that Warp to come right back and get on the path.
Absolutely. You're not going to expect him to go to that downstairs bat room. That really annoying one with the 3 trap tiles and the 3 bats in there trying to push you into them. But he is going to make those checks in that room, which is very often contingent on whether you have Warp. It looks like Lifereboot forgetting some checks here, trying to find something that he had before. Was it an ice sword?
I know one1fineday has an ice sword, but I don't remember exactly which chest he picked it out of.
Yeah, but we're gonna see how Lifereboot chooses to. Oh, he's gonna take a step onto the Nightmare tile. Did not remember that one was there, and the fire 2 going to be a factor as it kills 2 of his party members. He does still have life 2 on the red mage, but seeing that the Nightmare didn't immediately go down, he's going to he's just gonna reset out.
And we'll go through this again. This is one of those reasons that a lot of the more experienced runners might exit out or leave after hitting the volcano or this armory floor, clear it out, go out and save, and go back in. We saw him do that for Marsh Cave. It's a little more convenient there, but certainly something I see a lot of people do in this floor.
Absolutely. Save your progress, people, because when you save your progress, it's progress. And if you wipe, then it's just time lost.
Yeah, all these old games. I remember some of the guides that were reading were save early, save often, because there was no autosave.
Absolutely. When you're racing, if you spend 15 minutes learning something, if you spend 15 minutes checking things, and then you know where all the chests are, then yeah, maybe your next run through doesn't take as long, but it's still not nearly as useful as saving your levels, saving your equipment, and then going back. So, especially if you're worried about wiping, or if you feel like things are getting sort of dangerous, just save.
Yeah. So, one fine day, picking up the Excalibur in the Temple of Fiend's locked chest in the top right. So, moves that over to his knight. That'll be better than Vorpal all the way through until either Tia 2 or Chaos, depending on your levels and some other factors at that point. Like
and he definitely forgot about that bottle, because he's going to Lufane to make that check again. He has already done the Lufane check. He has already turned in his slab, but he has not collected anything from the fairy. So when he used that bottle early, the one downside to it, it shouldn't happen to you, but it can happen to anyone. You forget that it was in your inventory at all. And I misspoke. He didn't do this. So the crystal is going to lead to the Opal Cheerio. So he's going to ultimately discover that it doesn't lead for anything.
Yeah, and normally, I mean, you are right in that normally you would go to Gaia and turn in the bottle before making this this long walk down to Lefane, and it looks like everybody's got frost down here. The Tyros have frost, the Agamists have frost, the Frostwolves have frost. Not the worst thing to see, but, not terribly fun either. Damages all of your party, and certainly takes a while for the animation to run through, too, even at this level.
Yeah. I mean, seeing frost everywhere, it's annoying early, so it's going to be more annoying for lifereboot right now, where it's actually doing damage. But it's way better than seeing like damage poison, way better than seeing like a nuke on, because there is a nuke in the enemy pool. You usually don't see it. There's a nuke out there, and if you see it on the Medusa script, it can be a fun scene.
All it takes is one unrunnable to encounter to get that, or maybe like the mummies to catch that, so it's just in a bad spot, and that really hurts. So, one fine day checking that level 7 magic shop, seeing heal 2 in life, and looks like he did remember the fairy check, or at least the shop item check, and we'll see in just a moment if he remembers the fairy check too. I found it.
Yeah, I gotta assume he did come up here for the fairy. So I misspoke. I'm sorry, one fine day. If you're watching this, you didn't. I shouldn't have doubted you for a moment.
Well, it's still something to ask him later. Is why would you go down and do the Lefane check before you came up to Gaia, rather than the other order that we see most people take it.
I mean, they're both in the same place. It makes sense. I was just mistaken that he'd already done the slab check. And he's gonna find his opal bracelet, and that's gonna be useful, but not super useful. Gonna do a little bit of armor rearranging here. So yeah, he knows that he's gonna find that cube vanilla in Waterfall to go with the vanilla tail and the semi-vanilla loot, and something else was vanilla.
The sages had the canoe. Yeah, I was just looking over that list too.
So he's going to go grab this cube before he goes into Sea Shrine. This is a minor optimization, but it is an optimization. You want to get as many key items as you can as early as possible because it allows you to gain a lot more XP. Right? You're going to get residual XP just from every encounter that you find. You know, like you're always going to find something that's going to be useful. And when you're just taking XP as you're going, rather than taking the time to grind, oftentimes it'll make a big deal. As we're looking at carry, it looks like round 2. And looks like we've got a fair amount more HP this time, and carry is going to go down. So on Life Reboot's side at a 104.36, he's going to light his first orb. Fair amount of ground to make up, as One Fine Day has 2 orbs lit with the Earth Orb as well, but still going to have plenty of game to play. Temple of Fiends Revisited is, of course, the great equalizer, and anyone could die there.
Yeah, but this does seem like a pretty big lead for One Fine Day, and, you know, Life Reboot had to redive Volcano a couple of times. That's very easy to pin it down. Amazing Ampharos pointing out that One Fine Day was actually 2 items from Go Mode when he checked, not just 1. And that's a fair point. So if you know you're gonna have to do both, then it doesn't matter what order you do them in. I guess I'm always used to you try to avoid the trip to Lefane at any chance you get, because it's a long walk.
Yeah, and that long walk that you take to Lefane, it is the same group of encounters that you find on the Peninsula of Power. So if you're looking at doing that grind and you haven't walked to Lefane yet, just walk to Lefane.
And here, Life Reboot doing all these key locked checks. Not gonna gain or lose any time to One Fine Day by doing these, since they've both done the same checks here.
Yep, and we find the Invis 2 was White Mage only. That said, White Mage probably going to have the white shirt equipped, so was already going to have unlimited Invis 2 charges. As we're going to expect One Fine Day to go left here. He knows he's in go mode. He's got no reason to check any extraneous chests. Probably just going to try and get through here with the Excalibur that he found in key-locked Temple of Fiends.
Yeah, I mean, he's got good weapons, he's got decent armor with, I think he has a flame armor for sure, he might have an ice armor, has some opal pieces, has the Aegis shield, has the 1 ribbon, so probably that's the only thing I could think about, maybe looking for a 2nd ribbon or looking for maybe the defense sword. But either of those are nice but not required.
Oh yeah, I mean, you can always find a Mass Mune, which can go on any party member, so it's always, like, no matter how much equipment you have, it's very difficult to have a setup that isn't improved by a Mass Mune. Right? There's always something he could find, but none of it's required. And if he finds a fighter grind tile, and he may very well take advantage of this, that fighter's made out of paper. So he's going to take the fight twice, and we'll see if he takes it anymore. Nope. One Fine Day confident with the levels that he's at. It's hard to disagree with that. As he hit level 20 from that fight with that fighter, so likely just going to make his way through here, take experience as he goes, and be confident with a level 21 or 22 4-man party going into Temple of Fiends.
Well, and there's still, I mean, you can still take the walking grind in Sky. There's still a bunch of places for him to pick up experience along the way. So he's still got that whole other dungeon to go.
Yeah, he may very well hit like level 24, but even if he doesn't find any like really good encounters, even if he winds up mostly running from everything and go mode in Sky, he's still gonna hit level 21 or 22. So he's just trying to go fast at this point. Life Reboot gonna find the Power Bonk, which should put him in no mode. So we'll see if that affects how many chests he checks.
And there was where that ice sword came from.
Yeah, no mode, of course, being the concept of, although you don't have all of the equipment yet, you're not officially in go mode. Thing is, and you're confident in skipping chests because you know that you won't be missing a loose item. And we've got a Kraken on One Fine Day's side. And we don't anymore. Kraken not particularly bringing the thunder this time. So One Fine Day gonna get out of there, light his third orb at 1 hour 10 minutes. And probably gonna make a beeline straight for Mirage Tower. Yeah, meanwhile, Life Reboot gonna go into Ice Cave. We know that Ice Cave included the had the herb, and that herb became the TNT. Eventually, became the TNT and the rod. So this eventually will be required. It's sort of a roundabout way of doing it, but I believe it was the herb became the ruby, became the TNT, became the rod. All these Cerebus and other encounters just gonna go down so quickly at this level. Cerebus and the Chimeras, of course. They're weak to ice, so as chat pointed out and as MG said earlier, it's a walking grind. One Fine Day gonna skip the chest in Mirage Tower. I can't disagree with this play at this point. He's got Excal, he's got Vorpal if he ever decides he wants it. He's got everything he needs. Finds an Iron Gall trap tile, and with Lit 3 available, and it doesn't look like they have a whole lot of Absorb, this would be an easy grind, but once again, he doesn't need it. So you're going to expect him to continue on. 7,000 XP per fight, and he's just going to say, well, I'll keep that in mind if Topher is terrible. Yeah, sometimes avoiding a grind is as important a play as actually taking it. If you get through the game at level 44, you've taken too many fights, right? It's easier to get through at level 44, but you know that you've over leveled. You know that you've lost time in doing so, and that's something that One Fine Day knows. So he's gonna skip any of these extraneous levels, even though he finds a really, really nice grind tile. He says, "Nope, I'd much rather be fast. There's no extra prize for having a stronger party when you win." Life Reboot. Not sure what he's trying to do here. Is he grinding this top? Walked all the way back up. Not going to be able to climb back up that hole, so we'll see what his plan was here. It could be that he was trying to take this fight. And Bridge of Destiny did not last very long, so if we missed our chance to get our Bless RNGs out. We're not going to see Warmech today, at least not on One Fine Day side. So Tiamat pull and Looks like Tiamat has a fair amount of absorb, so we're going to see if One Fine Day does any temper charges or does anything else to try to get a little bit more damage out of here. As slow goes out, and it's going to cancel out any of the fast charges that were cast already, except on the fighter. Chat pointing out, yeah, Mormec appeared, but apparently not fast enough to catch One Fine Day. One Fine Day, not, like I said, not interested in any XP. Even if it's a war mech, he's much more interested in finishing this seed faster. Tiamat showing off a variety of useless spells. Gonna blow a sleep too, and fail to get anything out. So we're buffing up. We're trying to deal with this difficult absorb, but Tiamat content to let One Fine Day do whatever he pleases in this fight. And swinging now, so it shouldn't be too much longer. Now, One Fine Day using a little-known fact. He uses the Cure 4 on his stunned party member. Cure 4 is going to cure any of those status ailments in the middle of battle, so we'll bring up his paralyzed party member.
Yeah, it looks like he's not doing a huge amount of damage to Tiamat, but doing enough, chunking away 300 damage at a time, sometimes only 27, and making his way through. So he's got plenty of health and makes it through Tiamat.
Yeah, finally through. Got a few crits out there with the X-Cal. Tiamat just with a massive amount of absorb, but when you've got the power bonk and you've got all those fast charges, you know eventually you're going to start doing damage to him. And Tiamat was not at all interested in doing damage back, so
which makes that a reasonable strategy. You know you're going to get through. She's not going to have too horribly many hit points if you're doing a couple hundred a round.
Yeah, so at 1:16:20, One Fine Day going to enter the Temple of Fiends Revisited. It's our first runner to do so. 4 orbs lit and just immediately
lifereboot is... Yeah, but not having to take a stop between Sky and the Temple of Fiends it Revisited is a big speed up. So he was prepared and just ran straight down and is validating his run.
Yeah, the validation chests actually oftentimes more dangerous than they're worth. You will find a lot of the time people find something they think is useful. Oh, there's that last pro cape I wanted. But more often what they find in the validation chest is a tent or a cabin or something that will sort of reset their the position of their heal pots. One Fine Day had them perfectly set up in the first row, so finding a tent would be sort of disastrous for him right now.
Yeah, and as we make our way down through these first couple of levels of the Temple of Fiends Revisited, lifereboot is running through his checks and got it turned in his herb, turned in his ruby, and is gonna pick up the rod here. And then he's got two little short dungeons left, and then he'll be on his way for Fiends and Temple of Fiends Revisited.
Yeah, he may wind up skipping ordeals. If he goes to Waterfall first, he will be in go mode. So the question's going to be then, do you bother to go through ordeals to get the tail?
Yeah, it's a lot of dungeon to go through just for a promotion. Especially if I don't think he's gotten the X-Cal or the Vorpal yet, but if you're looking for that, he does have the Vorpal, so that might be one of those considerations. It's the weapons and the spells that you're thinking about, do I want to do this or not?
Oh, absolutely. And you also have a Thief that's still alive and doesn't really have the ability to equip much until you promote him to a ninja, so definitely gonna prefer to have that tail. The question is always just, if you feel like you can go through Topher, are you gonna try to do it, or are you gonna stop for something? Most of the time, the correct answer is to try to go fast.
Yeah, and looking back over the spells, it looks like Life 2 was Fighter learnable at level 3, so that's another big stone on the side of go get tail and go get your promotion.
Absolutely. So, very, very tempting, It's going to be interesting to see what Life Reboot does, because he's got to feel like he's behind at this point. When you're at 120 and you're looking at light in your second orb, you never feel like you're in a good spot. So he's definitely behind, but he probably knows it.
Yeah, well, and I would also say that part of the reason you would feel behind here is that you went into Volcano and you wiped, but because of levels. So that's sort of a your choice and a thing that other runners might not run into. Where if it's a trap tile with nuke or a really, really tough boss or something, then that might be something everybody runs into, or super long fetch quests, and then you feel like, well, everybody else has had to go through the same stuff that I did.
Oh, absolutely. Even if you run into a gatekeep, even if you run into carry that first turn casts Lit 3 and almost wipes out your party, that same carry could cast Ink twice for your opponent. Right? You can't assume, you always just have to assume that a wipe is time lost. Because sometimes the wipes will come on the other side, sometimes your opponent will help you out by losing time as well. But it's never something that you can count on. Meanwhile, it looks like
one1fineday. I was going to say, he skipped a big experience pack, so he must be feeling fine with his levels. I know I saw level 23, but I didn't catch exactly what character that was on. So he must feel like he's going to be at the right level at the right time to take on Chaos.
Absolutely. He's going to have his level 24, but it's not going to really matter. The breakpoint with the X-Cal, I believe, is level 21 to get the hit, and then level 35 or something around there, or level 29. So he's definitely going to be fine. Oh, so a rub landed through that pro ring he was wearing, I believe. So that's going to be a little difficult, and we're going to see if Kraken has a lot of HP right now.
Yep, and we're going damage spell strats, Ice 3, Fade. That first round Fade came out for only 100 damage. The second one is 208 and kills the Kraken. And then we use those Life 2 charges that one1fineday has in spades to bring up that fighter back up and head on down to floor number 4.
So he was rubbed through a ribbon. one1fineday just checking his equipment to either show us, hey, look, I had a ribbon that was sort of crap, or to just verify. As Tiamat coming out with nuclear, that's not very kind.
Yeah, well, and that's one of those things I might check just for myself, is to make sure that I didn't leave the ribbon on the wrong character, that I have it in the position that I want. So, Tiamat has that nuclear. She 3 hits for 99, I believe, so not as strong physically, but anybody that's got nuclear, you gotta keep your eye on.
Yeah, only 3 hits, and you can see the red mages immediately swap into lock.
And oh mama,
and we're
double nuclear carry.
And crucially, we don't have any more Cure 4s on the red mage, so we just need this to win. The fighter gonna be immune to most reaching out and hitting, but oh wow, 659 damage gonna take care of it. So clutching out that fight, that fighter would go down if Tiamat were to use pretty much anything, a tornado, a blaze, with that low HP, even when you're resisting,
maybe even like a lit 2 or something.
Yeah, even when you're resisting with a ribbon, when your HP is that low, you don't want to see him casting any spells. But yeah, that's the key to this party is everybody's got life 2. So having one party member through means you have all 4.
Yep, and yeah, Jonathan making a good point that One Fine Day, we believe, has the white shirt still and not using it. So has either forgotten he had it or reset out of it or thinks he reset out of it or something like that. So we'll see that later.
Yeah, Chaos opening with Tornado. We're going to see the Power Bonk used on the fighter Kate.
And we're getting Invis buffs out. We've got Fast on him. We're getting some Saber on the Red Mage too. So, and Chaos says no more White Mage, no more backline. Going straight for it for 511.
And Chaos using Zap is going to take another party member out as Maya gets exiled to the 4th dimension. Oh wow, 7 hits to 93. Chaos has a whole lot of absorb this fight. One Fine Day gonna use Power Bonk a little bit more as Chaos continues with the instant death magic. Looks like One Fine Day not too concerned about that.
Yep, Fighter 3 comes out and knocks down the Red Mage, but the Fighter's still in there, and 7 hits for 215, 8 for 271. Is this enough?
This, I mean, you gotta hope so, right? This is at a point where you can hold A and pray, and with the nuclear for 184 takes out half of this, and then the thunder for another half of the red. Oh wow, the fighter's down to 60, but clutches it out. Get your GGs out. One Fine Day with an official SRL time of 1:25:53. Is going to fell Chaos. His fighter standing or crouching really with 60 HP left. So incredible fight, incredible finish there, and we're gonna see if we can get One Fine Day in for an interview here. So make sure you get your GGs out.
Yep. So we have seen 3 out of the 4 nuclears this seed. Double nuclear Tiamat, nuclear Chaos. Chaos also punching hard and bringing the tornadoes, bringing all the skills, and One Fine Day and Kate with the MVP clutching out both of those last 2 fiends to make it through.
Yes, definitely can't argue that he was over-leveled there, but had exactly enough in the tank to get through. You always sort of want to see that. You always want to see having just enough to get through that fight because it means you used exactly as many resources as you needed to.
Yeah, and it means you got just enough RNG and you leveled just high enough to scrape through.
Yeah, so it looks like we're about to be joined by One Fine Day, who is...
I'll bring him down here if he can't make it himself.
We're joined by
GG's
One Fine Day. Yeah, absolutely, GG.
Thanks.
Yeah, so how did you feel about this seed?
That was a nail biter. It's a good thing I went and dug out that X-Guy.
What? You made it through with plenty of health. You could have taken another, lit 2.
Well, I needed it for Tia as well.
Yeah, both of those fights turning into nail biters there. Even after it looked like 4 or 5 power bonk charges, Chaos was still not interested in taking more than 200 damage per swing.
Oh yeah, I mean he must have had really beefy defense.
Yeah, so can you tell us a little bit about your routing here? You found the the floater and the power bonk early. So what was it that you felt that you needed in order to hit go mode in terms of equipment?
In terms of equipment, a ribbon and a decent sword, and Vorpal's not a decent sword. If I had Vorpal in that situation, I would have wiped for sure. Since the knight had life 2, it wasn't as big a deal that I would be. I can make words.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
so
you just
one,
clutched out
one
a
thing
very
that was
difficult thing.
You guys' audio is out of sync for me for some reason.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I see the other commentator trying to get a word in, and it just goes like.
Oh, no
It's
worries.
just-
I'm also pushed to talk, so I tend to let off that a little too early sometimes.
Oh, okay.
But the other thing I'm going to say is something chat pointed out is you're using a lot of invis charges when you had a white shirt.
Yeah, well, Invis is single target, so it's faster. And I only care about evasion.
Okay, that's an interesting point. And so it was a strategic decision not to go through the long animation and just to put it on the fighter and let the fighter carry you through.
Well, the idea was to just stack Invis charges, so I would have had to spend 5 rounds working up the white shirt, and it's just not really worth it. So I was going to use Invis on the red mages and possibly the knight if I had to.
Yeah, it looks like lifereboot potentially gonna give us a look at what the mermaids had. Possibly gonna find something like a mass mune or something. Maybe make this dive a little bit easier, because we know that was not a Forgiven Temple of Fiends Revisited.
Well,
That
you
was a
better
pretty
get an NASA for that.
Yeah, the other thing Life Reboot is missing so far is not gone to Ordeals to pick up the tail, so is not promoted. So can't use, has Vorpal but can't use it. And that's probably the best sword he has.
Yeah, has Thief and can't really use it as well. So, give me a hypothetical here, one fine day. Let's say you don't find that Excal and all you have is Vorpal, right? Would you decide to grind a little bit more?
I would dig for a better sword, because even at level 32, I can't trust Vorpal. So that's why I did that TOF key lock dive, was because I was just going to the North Continent to do Sea Shrine and Sky Castle, and I wanted to eliminate most of the possibilities of an Excal elsewhere, an Excal or Massa or some other sword. Even a defense sword would have been acceptable to me, just for the evasion stacks, although I already had Invis, so it's not as essential. Without Temper, I'm not going to get a lot of mileage out of the Vorpal, and I'm going to need a good sword, because just bonking, as you can see, it took me like 5-6 bonks to even do damage to Chaos, and I was just hold A and pray at that point. When I was
we did just find the defense sword. The mermaids were hoarding it.
Well, that would have been probably acceptable for me to stop my searching. I would have just sucked it up and took the Vorpal, because I wasn't going to clear out Sky. But I was going to try clear out as much as I could to get a better sword before I give up on it.
Absolutely. At that point, you're just doing the greed checks, because you know that you can get through with what you had. That was a very impressive demonstration of getting through with the bare minimum there. Both the last 2 fights, your fighter standing on one knee trying to get through.
Well, I probably should have fired off Cure 4s on my White Mage in that Chaos fight, instead of, I think I put it on my Red Mage instead of the White Mage. My thinking was I was going to get it locked, because it looked like Chaos had pretty decent evade as well.
Well, it seemed like you cast just enough lock to put yourself over the hump to where you're getting those hits you needed.
I didn't get any locks off on Chaos. I got them on Tiamat. I needed them for Tiamat.
Oh, okay. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, both Chaos and Tiamat definitely deadly. Kraken also doing a fair bit of damage, immediately knocking out the fighter.
That was a rub through a ribbon. Another rub through a ribbon, and I was like, no way.
Yeah, that wasn't even that wasn't.
And I showed the ribbon just so the crowd would know. Yeah, I got rubbed through a ribbon.
I said you were either checking your equipment or you were showing us.
Yep, Elastoid had the call. I was thinking, okay, that's the kind of thing I would do just to like make sure I didn't leave the ribbon on the wrong character or something like that. But yeah, absolutely.
Well, even if you didn't have the ribbon, it'd be pro rings, right?
I didn't have a pro ring on that night, but it doesn't matter. I was rubbed through a ribbon.
Yeah, you didn't have a pro ring on it because you had the power bonk equipped because you had a ribbon.
Ribbed through a ribbon.
Yep. And then I actually want to pull us back. As exciting as that Temple of Fiends was, you made some key plays in the early game that really propelled you into your lead. So one of those was skipping Elfland to go straight toward the Crown Tournament at Marsh. Can you explain your trade-offs there?
I didn't have any gold to shop at Elfland, so it wouldn't have done me any good. And I was planning to go dive straight into Marsh if Crown didn't lead to the canoe. So, yeah, I prefer to go into Elfland when I have some money. And of course, Elfland, not Elfland, but Marsh had the floater loose, which is a lucky thing. I'm guessing Life Reboot went to Lower Marsh and got the canal and just noped out.
No, Life Reboot had a little bit of different level you did on the Nightmare Evil Man tile, and wound up running into Carrie, which, I mean, you'll recall that fight. It wasn't particularly easy, but you got through it just through the power of the levels that you had. Life Reboot unfortunately ran out of heal pots as well, so was...
Well, one thing I had in my advantage was bringing a white mage in case there was a fade that would be particular to the white mage, or some other value. There was fade and tier 4 that were unique value for the white mage. And going into this race, and probably for the rest of the Swiss rounds, my biggest concern would be that going back to my first game, I don't want to be in a position where I lack the tools to take on a tough TOF, and I don't want to be miss out on something like an exit or a fade or a tier 4 or a life 2 that would be of great value to me. So even though this party was slower, it was agonizingly slow in the early game, and my inability to run meant that TOF took like 3-4 minutes longer than it had to. The initial TOF. I don't know. It was just...
Yeah, that was an interesting Temple of Fiends initially. I wanted to ask you about that play, actually, because when you're sitting there, you don't have any damaged magic. Did you consider just going to Provoca and using Confuse to take on the pirates?
No. I knew I could get through. I knew I could get through that TOF, so I was just gonna bang my head against it. I think it was only there was the light axe and a little bit of gold there that was of value.
Yep.
And I also want to have gold before going into Baroka, because as it turned out, the spells there were kind of expensive, if I recall correctly. Oh, maybe they weren't that expensive, but I did buy Lit 3 Fast and Saber for both of my red mages. So, yeah, I probably would not have that money if I did not get the money out of TUF and the money out of Provoca.
Absolutely. No, it was an interesting
sense,
situation where neither of you did that, so...
But I mean, if I had a thief or even a black mage, I think I get through that TOF on first try. I mean, because Garland himself, he had Brack, but I had Hold, so that works fairly well. And I had that, and I got the White Axe, so I could smack at him pretty reliably. And I really don't want to hack at the pirates in one by one, or spend time buying weapons that I'm just going to throw away and not ever use as soon as I got any sort of decent attack magic. Oh, well, they did have Confuse. That would have worked.
Yeah, I think that was the only real question, and something I've seen other runners do, where they would use a Confuse on the pirates, because pirates are one of the few enemies that pirates can actually kill, and then taking the gold from the pirates and using that to buy their spells.
I still wouldn't have had enough money, and I'm not sure. I think were save items in Provoca? I think save items were in Provoca, and I used the rest of my money. Used the rest of my money to buy like 20 tents, and I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't have money coming in. And that's the main reason why I like to have money going into Provoca, just in case there are tents or cabins there, and they're cheap. It would save me a lot of frustration later on.
Yeah, no, it makes sense, and we certainly saw you use those tents to great advantage in a couple of places. That'd be like outside Marsh, and then between top and bottom, and then in Volcano a couple of times with your grinds.
Yeah, I like to get a 10-pack of houses as not necessarily as soon as possible, but I like to get it soon. Oh, there's a ribbon.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you found that one.
Oh yeah, I did find that ribbon. That was my one ribbon.
Yeah, a lot of instant death magic turned out at the end as well, with the Banes and the Zaps. I mean, not even worried about the rub. This was a seed that really put you to the test. So Life Reboot here with a little bit less in the way of levels, and also hasn't class changed yet. Definitely, we're speculating in this play. If you know that it's the tail here, do you bother to go get it? With a thief and having
he has to, because he has no weapon, and he's
without the Sun Sword or the Mass Mute, you sort of have to.
Well, I mean, he's going to have a lot of difficulty with just his red mage as a white magic caster, because he does have defense for evasion stacks, and it should have life too, but it's still going to be dicey. He has no fade. Nuke was 6, I think. I couldn't
remember. Nuke was 6.
So he has that at least.
Looks like he's going to go through, take this fight a few times.
Yep, earning XP at the sandwich station.
Yeah, he knows that you've already finished, I think. Oh no, actually no. Life Reboot told me he tries to do it with the SRL chat room closed, so he will not know that you've finished yet. So he's just gonna grab a little bit of XP, try and take this as methodically as he can.
Yeah, I do that sometimes too. I keep just closed SRL more for league races or races with a large number of people, just because I don't want to be thinking, he finished with he finished there, he must have done something. I don't like to double second guess myself and outplay myself based on somebody else's finish time.
Oh yeah, I'll always do the thing where if I see like 6 people forfeit early and I haven't run into anything dangerous yet, I go, okay, maybe I should be grinding something.
Yeah, but I just prefer to play against the seed. Just to play against the seed. I mean, if I'm playing against a player who I know has certain tendencies, I'll take them to account, but it's not worth it to metagame yourself too much. I just play. Ultimately, I'm going to be just playing against the game and playing my game, which in the way I feel gives me the best advantage.
Absolutely. So with this win, you advance to 1-2.
2-1.
2-1.
Or 2-1. Yeah, I'm sorry, 1-2. Why am I doing that? Yeah, you advance to 2-1. You know, in such interesting company as the you know.
Well, we'll try not to spoil any other races in case somebody on YouTube hasn't seen them yet.
So
but,
I won't mention it, but you've seen there are a few strong runners in there. Is there anyone that you're particularly fearful of?
Well, I don't think I can fight. I don't think I can go against Spellzap again. I don't know if I don't know the outcome of his race. It started at the same time as our race, so Crabcakes, obviously, if she gets to 2-1, is somebody I'm going to be hesitant to go against. There's actually quite a few people in 2-1 that I would be wary of. I mean, I was not that far ahead of Paranoia, and he's 0-2 now, just because of how that game went. So anything can happen. But definitely Crab and Spellzap, but although I don't think you can have rematches in Swiss rounds, or
I don't believe that can happen.
That is correct. So, yep, we're very grateful to Fred Coughlin for design. I believe he's the one that built our the Swiss program that we're using, so it won't give you the same pairing twice. It won't give you the same person can't be paired up or paired down twice, so it avoids repeats of all of those.
Oh man, I needed to be paired down twice in order to continue my win streak. So,
well,
I was rooting for easy rounds here.
I was thinking I want to see one1fineday versus Spellzap round 2, but I guess we're gonna have to wait for brackets for that.
We'll definitely both be in the brackets. I have a strong feeling that me and him will both be in the brackets.
Confident statement coming out of one1fineday there.
Well, I was going to ask about that as what's your goal for this tournament? But if certainly making the brackets at the first stage, and then it's all, who do you get paired against, and how does that seed roll?
Well, I mean, I came into this tournament to win. That's the only thing I'll be satisfied with. I've cracked under the pressure twice, and I don't want to crack again. So it's just win, baby, win.
Win, baby, win. So, look, it looks like lifereboot's still doing his sandwich grind, getting up to level 25. That's gonna be useful for him towards the end, and it looks like he's killing off party members. So he may go the distance to level 30, level 32.
Well, the problem with this grind, though, is that his fighter is not going to get any life charges if he's taking it all the way to 50.
Yeah, crucially, especially when you've already found the tail, maybe not necessarily the best to take the grind right now, but he's going to be a little bit opportunistic about it. He found the sandwiches and he wants to eat them.
I'd really only care about level 24 if I had the massa, but he doesn't. And because the other breakpoints are just so far away that you're very unlikely to reach them. Although I've had some games where I hit level like 27, 28, and it wouldn't be too hard to get to 29 for like the 5th hit with defense or Excal.
Oh yeah, like if you were to like early in a Gurgu dive or early into some other dive, lose 2 party members and wind up getting through with just your solo fighter. A lot of the time you wind up having having that character propelled into having way more XP. But It's not the most common scenario.
It's happened to me. I get like some party wipe spell like Bane, and my ribbon fighter is the only one who survives. And I just say, okay, we'll grab the ambulance. And this was before all the trap tile shuffles, or spike tile shuffles, I should say.
Yeah, I think I've had it happen once where I had a fighter was the only one who survived Warmech on the Bridge of Destiny. And he had a defense sword and a power bonk, so he survived the first Warmech. I think he wound up running from a second Warmech, but dealing with like slimes, and he had the mage staff, and then taking on Tiamat and winning, and that was like 4 or 5 levels right there on the Bridge of Destiny for him.
Oh, you didn't do the Warmech grind?
Well, I mean, no, I didn't. I think when you have a solo fighter and you've already killed the Warmech once, you often say maybe once was enough.
Yeah, and while we're watching the race, Life Reboot has picked up the tail, stopped his grind, and gone down to Bahamut to turn in his papers and get his promotion, and now he's rearranging all this nice gear that he's picked up to be on the appropriate characters. So I think he's done with the grind and ready to maybe take on Tiamat and go through.
Well, you said appropriate characters, but that ribbon is remaining on the ninja, which is about as far from appropriate as I could agree with. But beyond that, looks like he's pretty much in tip-top shape here.
Going with the ice sword over the defense sword.
He's checking the stats on his weapon. You can see he's equipping it and then going into status to see. This is something that you see a lot of the time with the newer runners. They're not always sure exactly what the stats are. If you're not sure, feel free to take a second to check. Because, ideally you'll remember it afterward.
Yeah, and I guess I was also thinking while you were discussing Warmech, one fine day you did not give the crowd what they were looking for. You managed to escape.
Yeah, I was fine with my levels. 22 was enough for me, so why risk it? Just run as soon as possible.
Yeah, it turned out to be enough, but I ask you this question. After running through Temple of Fiends and having it happen the way it did, if you were going to run it again, would you have taken the Warmech?
No. My issue was not necessarily levels. I mean, obviously I got through it. My issue was that I Cure Forward probably the wrong person at Chaos. Although it worked out for me, and there was reasons for me to Cure Forward the Red Wizard.
Yeah, you could have wiped out Tiamat though.
What I could have done is I could have picked up that Cure 3 at Crescent Lake. It was at the 4th slot of Tier 6. And that would have been very helpful for, those situations where I get nucleared.
Oh yeah, the Red Mages, didn't have any immediate healing was the problem. So if you had that would be a big difference.
Yeah, and I did kind of luck out with, getting that big crit on Tiamat 2. Had I not had my knight drop in that fight, that ice sword wielding red mage was not going to get the job done.
Not likely. Well, I mean, it's hard to say. You end up critting for 649 damage, but for all we know, Tiamat only had 20 HP left.
Could be, but usually we get a lucky crit like that. They had a ton of HP. They just always do.
Yeah, we'll know soon enough as Life Reboot, after he's still got Sky 1 to clear, so he's going to have Tia 1 rather to clear, but then we'll see what he looks like at Tia 2. He's going to first pick up all this magic for his fighter. That's not a bad play.
No, I was thinking, for all of your mentioned that you had a really slow party. You still turned in a 125, which is not a slow time for these flags. So was this? You feel like this seed was a particularly fast seed?
I think it was about average. If you went north on Marsh, you would get the early floater, and I almost always go north. I think most players go north first on Marsh, just because of the trap tile.
Well, and you're looking for canal at that point, so you know you can't progress until you found it. So.
Well, yeah, canal is in this lower B3 of Marsh, but if I went B3 first and I get the canal, I'm out of Marsh, and I wouldn't bother checking top, and I would be spending a long time before I got that floater.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, the chime was floater locked, so you wouldn't be spending much time in Mirage. But you would wind up spending. There are a lot of dungeons that were immediately available, right? So yeah, that floater being in Marsh could theoretically have been very bad if one of you had gone.
I think Rod was also. I think Rod was also floater locked, so I might have gone back to Marsh before Earth, but not like.
Yeah, Rod was also floater locked. It was behind the slab, so yeah, it's very unlikely that you would have full cleared much. But well, I mean, could theoretically have full cleared on rack for it or something like that.
Yeah, that would have been a possibility. Any charges, though, of what? John's just asking a question. Jonathan Yoshi in the chat.
Yeah, any charges? Oh, any charges? Oh, because the fighter just picked up magic. No, the fighter won't have any charge for this dungeon, but when you do still have an orb dungeon left to go, it's a good chance that the fighter will gain at least one charge. Because, every time you get
a charge every other
level, yeah. So let's see if Life Reboot is able to resist temptation here.
Well, these things are going to be a pain in the butt to grind.
Not really, they're weak to lightning.
They're not weak, they just don't resist lightning. They resist near everything else at time.
Yeah, you're correct. They actually just don't resist it. My bad, but still, they are susceptible to it. So, oftentimes going to be able to get through there. Looks like Life Reboot going to try and take this a little bit. Normally, I'd consider this to be a bad play, just because the levels that you're already at. But it doesn't hurt to get a charge of life on your fighter. So that level 27, I agree with.
Yeah, those iron goals were a little chunky there, so that's certainly not something I would want to go back to for extra fight.
Yep, Life Reboot's still gonna dig chests here, it looks like. Being very methodical, trying to get as much equipment as he can for this final fight.
And these are the relatively high density checks, with having 6 over here and 4 and 4 in the other 2 rooms on this floor. You didn't take all the singles.
Having access to warp, you can get back fairly quickly. So.
Was Life looking for a weapon?
He's looking for a katana or something. He's got his ninja swinging that ice sword, and ninja swinging anything but a katana is typically pretty pathetic.
Well, Masa.
Possible exception of Masa, but I mean, a black mage swinging Masa isn't pathetic, so.
Yeah, so he's got Vorpal and he's got an Ice Sword, so certainly it'd be nice for him to have something a little stronger. He might also be looking for a second ribbon.
Yeah, there's plenty of equipment still to be found. You know, this is a thing that you see a lot. You know, it's all about how comfortable you feel going through Temple of Fiends Revisited. So we're gonna expect Life Reboot to make it through in one go, the same way that one1fineday did, but probably having an easier time.
Oh no, not without a Masa or an Excal. You need a big sword to take on Tia. You need a big sword to take on Chaos. I don't know if he has lock. Oh,
He has a defense sword, the power bonk, and he's got his fighter is at level 27 right now. Probably going to be at level 29 when he goes through Temple of Fiends. So probably just from the levels going to have an easier time.
Defense sword, yeah, that's true.
Alright, like Excal obviously is one of the two big ones, but he's going to be able to get through without a mass mune. You made these greed checks, right?
Nope, I just rushed through.
You missed the mass mune. So these checks very common, even when you're theoretically in go mode. A lot of people still gonna check these chests because you never know. And you're gonna find
that room is so much
a second ribbon, and a mass mune. Potentially could have been game changing if depended on who your opponent is. That's definitely packed those two chests there, or those 4 chests.
Yeah, maybe I should have gone for some more greed checks, because my gear was not the greatest. I probably should have gotten some greed checks in, but a lot of people check those 4 chests. I don't, typically. I mean, even though it's not that.
You wound up getting through in one go, so it didn't wind up costing you time, but there's always the question of, you know, can I be a little bit faster? As we see a war mech, and it looks like we're fighting the war mech on Life Reboot's side, so once again, no time to get your Bless RNGs out. He immediately finds the war mech. He doesn't care what you want.
Yeah, we see a strong round of buffing, fast, defense, white shirt, and one swing with the ninja that misses. War mech is not hitting too hard though. Fire 2 for the first.
Yeah, this is one of those moments where somebody really wants to jump in and talk about how the ninja's offensive capabilities have been vastly buffed and are greater than those of the fighter right now. We're all just waiting to see it. I mean, true, the fighter is using a bonked up mass mune and the ninja's swinging an ice sword, but I still consider it to be a valid point. Brack not likely to work on the war mech, but we're going to throw it out anyway. It's always a chance to crit.
I think Life Reboot is intending to use his ninja. Oh, that was a weak war mech.
That was a very weak war mech. Once he finally got to damaging him, war mech not having a whole lot of HP, so...
Yeah, definitely rolled down on HP under 600 with 1,000 as his vanilla hit points, so...
Yep, and Life Reboot gonna hit level 29 with that war mech, so level 29 fighter with mass mune can handle most Temple of Fiends. Especially with the defense sword and power bonk, he can almost solo the whole thing.
Yeah, you need the other spellcasters to get you through all the trash, and you know that black mage helping you run doesn't, and the thief or the ninja helping you run doesn't hurt either.
Absolutely, and you can easily die to like getting ambushed by 6 waters when you're going solo. It's never Like, no matter what you have, it's never guaranteed. But definitely a level 29 fighter with a mass immune, power bonk, and defense sword gonna be a favorite to get through this.
The thing about checking those 4 chests in Sky Free F was that I had so many chests left on the table. All of mermaids, quite a few in Earth Cave.
2 orphaned in Marsh Cave.
Yeah, that too, and the Keylogg in Marsh. There's quite a few chests I was leaving behind anyway. That's usually the case in these flags. So the odds of that check paying out if I don't have my gear is a lot less than it would in many of the other tournament flag sets that I would run. Although it's probably
you're not expecting to find a mass immune and a ribbon there. If you knew there was a mass immune ribbon, you would have checked it.
I mean, yeah, if I was really going for gear, I probably would have cleared out at the very least. At the very least, I would have gone for greater than less than, and I probably would have cleared out all of Sky Free F, and maybe the right side room in Sky 1F, or maybe both sides of the room since I had warp.
So, life reboot a little after 2 hours and 4 minutes. We'll have his 4th orb lit, so he's gonna pick up some last spells and get ready here, but we're getting ready for a slog through.
Yeah, right, get luck! You're gonna want it! You're gonna want luck!
He doesn't need lock. But you're right, he's gonna want lock. Gonna do a little bit of a counter manipulation and then going in.
Yeah, it took me about 10 minutes to do Topher, I think was 10 minutes, or was it more?
It was something like that.
Yeah, because you entered at 1:16.
Time running.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I entered at 1:16, or around that.
Yeah, Life Reboot having a much easier time running away from things. The ninja being naturally cowardly, being the Shaggy of the Scooby-Doo party, is always going to help them run. But of course, will not help them solve mysteries.
I mean, we can't pull the head off of Garland, or the mask off of Garland, or Chaos, and see that he's just Garland.
Well, I mean, he is. I like to think that that's the canon way that it ends. Is after you kill Chaos, you say, well, let's see who you really are. So just another PSA out to any new runners who are learning the game. You can equip the Power Gauntlet, and it goes on your arms the same place a Pro Ring does. So if you've got the ribbon and armor and a shield, and you put the Power Bonk on your fighter as well, you can equip it for 6 Absorb.
Which is almost as good as it gets for that slot. I think the Pro Ring is just 8, so
Yeah, the Pro Ring is only
not
8.
much of a loss.
So yeah, is assuming you already have the ribbon and you don't need to worry about the immunity to death magic. You know, Power Bonk for Pro Ring is a perfectly decent trait. But if you forget to equip it, you're losing 8 Absorb. Well, you're losing 6. Lich is going to cast Stop on the ninja, and somehow life will continue to go on. As the red mage swinging that Vorpal sword, possibly better to give that Vorpal to the ninja, but either way, not going to be terribly effective. Potentially just give the trash sword to the trash party member.
Hey, Hale is not trash. He's a red wizard.
No, I'm saying the give the Vorpal to the ninja, give the trash sword to the trash party member, and they can be mission together. They were made for each other. As Carrie gonna go down in one round, Ninja did run away a lot in this dungeon. That is a fair point.
When did Life Reboot enter? Like 205, I think?
Finishes 4th orb at 205, so... Yeah, definitely making his way through here very quickly.
I should have power cycled. For some reason I thought power cycle was just not very friendly to see.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, I still don't pay enough attention to it.
So, through the seafloor, we're beginning the final gauntlet of 3 fiends. Kraken is, of course, first, and looks like Life Reboot gonna start off with a lot of buffs. And very nearly losing the Red Mage just from the start, but it looks like, even without any defensive buffs, Kraken not super interested in killing. He's playing with his food a little bit. Yeah, so the fast going out on both the ninja and the fighter. 3 hits for 3 damage. That is what the Ice Sword brings to the table late game. Okay, Kraken having a fair amount of absorb. That fighter not doing too much damage. Also seems to have a fair amount of evade. This fighter should be getting more than 2 hits per round. And we see the rub that nearly ended this dive for One Fine Day.
Yep, does absolutely nothing. Followed up by a Fire 3, and it looks like Kraken might have pushed One Fine Day into doing a better strat on him with this high melee, evade and absorb, where Goen's damage spells seem to have cut through him pretty quickly.
Yeah, Kraken not really bringing on the HP or the MDef, but brought plenty of absorb.
I was going to use Ice 3s as soon as all my stuff was set up. Just damage race Kraken. It's my usual thing.
Yeah, speed and power works if you have it. And
Tiamat showing not interested in playing with her food. Tiamat going to immediately reach out and destroy the Red Mage before casting Nuclear on the party. Life Reboot would potentially be in a lot more trouble if not for the levels, but 5 hits, 516 damage. You can see the difference this equipment and level advantage has.
Yeah, it certainly got low rolled by the Nuclears relatively, so his fighter is going to stay up and going to be able to pick up the Red Mage. So yeah, that's going to be his life too.
That fight's starting out with that Red Mage fallen. Could potentially have been more dangerous. But, Life Reboot showing, doesn't matter how difficult Temple of Fiends is, like, experience is the answer to everything. So, rolling through this at almost level 30, it looks like he's gonna be perfectly fine.
Experience and 2 Life 2 casters.
That also helps. Having Life 2 on your knight is ridiculously useful. It's one of the things that means that the knight will always be better than the ninja.
Was that Stone Touch on Chaos?
Was it? I don't know. It happened so fast.
It was 407 damage, so it was a one-shot on the red mage either way.
Yeah, but Stone Touch could matter for the rest of the fight. Is the Black Wizard gonna live through Zap thanks to the black shirt that's equipped? That resists time magic, and Zap is time magic, so... Yeah, Stone Touch not gonna... Even if it is a case, it's not gonna do too much when you can't get a hit in, so... These defense charges going to make a big difference. And he's gonna use some Power Bonk a little bit more before he starts swinging. Eight hits, 283 damage. This Chaos has all of the absorb.
And there we finally start seeing some skills. We know that there's a tornado waiting, but this Chaos is a little punchier than the one we saw earlier.
Yeah, 10 hits, 229 damage. Feel like I'd be using Power Bonk one more time, but Chaos goes, he's terminated, and with an official SRL time of 2 hours, 14 minutes, and 32 seconds, Life Reboot finishes the race. GG to Life Reboot. Get your GGs out in chat.
Yep. GG Life Reboot, and man, I gotta tip the hat to somebody that, kept on going and just finished the seed one way or the other.
Absolutely, especially early in your Final Fantasy Randomizer career, you're not racing your opponent, you're racing yourself, and Life Reboot shows that by going through Temple of Fiends very methodically, getting everything done, taking all the steps that he knows he needs to do in order to feel comfortable getting through, and winds up getting through, actually still, despite all that, by the skin of his teeth. It was a very rough Topher this time around.
Okay, and let me bring in Life Reboot here for an interview.
Life Reboot, GG.
Thank you very much.
So tell us a little bit about that Topher.
Not too awful. I was super high level though. Did one fine day encounter any trouble? I see he beat me by over 30 minutes, so...
Yeah, one fine day went through very quickly, but had 4 party members, all 4 of them whom had life too, so it was fairly easy for that reason.
Let's see.
Yeah, he did finish both the Tiamat 2 fight and the Chaos fight with, I think, one with 39 health on the night and one with 60 health on the night. And so it was close, but he made it through, so he had just enough.
Nice, I'll have to watch it back. I could definitely learn some things from him. Absolutely.
So... Was this one of the races? You said that you usually don't have the SRL room open, so you didn't know when One Fine Day finished. Is that right?
Correct. I minimize it because I don't want to see any text in that chat. It makes my heart palpitate. Or like I don't like it, so I just put it away.
Yeah, I'm glad. We had to do a time check early in the seed, and I was hoping that wasn't going to throw anybody off. So, yeah, you found that floater early. Generally a fast seed when you can fly that early. And then you had immediately a lot of places you could go, but you wound up going to Gurgu and got a little bit punished by Carrie. What did you think about that?
Yeah, I couldn't find a decent place to level up. Maybe I should have tried a pop grind before I dove Volcano. But I just made a mistake of, not having enough money to buy enough heal potions to be prepared to dive in there and, avoid re-diving. So I had to, abuse Life 2 as, one of my only options to cure, and then, I was thinking, okay, maybe if I can confuse Carrie, I can at least stand a chance here, and that did not pan out as I had hoped. So I had to leave, level up, and come back, which I'm sure it cost me quite a bit of time, but I'll take away some lessons learned from that: don't enter Volcano without a whole bunch of heal pots, because those damage tiles bring everyone down. So
Yeah, I believe One Fine Day wound up grinding those Nightmares and Evil Men. Because
Really?
Nightmares
Okay.
are weak to Ice 3. So
Just-
that encounter potentially an early grind.
What was One Fine Day's party?
15.
Fighter, red, white.
Let's see.
And the other thing that grind really helped with was because he had access to Cure 4. So he did the grind and he would step outside and save. I think he only saved once, maybe. But I noticed that you re-cleared the armory a couple of times, and then he had those Cure 4s at the end to bring the members of his party he wanted back up to full. So that's certainly a difference to think about.
I was really flustered in the game once I failed against Carrie. I was making mistakes all over the place, and I was trying to jump in there after getting some levels and kill Carrie quickly, picking up things along the way, and then I realized, wait, where's my white T-shirt? Because I definitely wanted that, and I went back for it. So I was definitely flustered when I had a bad experience in Volcano. So.
Yeah,
Well,
it can be
it
hard.
happens to all of us.
Absolutely. When you make a mistake like that and you start to doubt yourself, it can be real easy to make another mistake following up. So I mean, I think we've all been there, but definitely a respectable time coming from a new runner and in a seed that you struggled with. So I'm glad to see that you went through, finished the seed up, and put in a good time and handled Temple of Fiends critically, a difficult Temple of Fiends in one run through.
Thank you very much, and GG to One Fine Day. I haven't said it yet.
GG.
All right, so it looks like we're gonna start wrapping this up. So we're gonna go to you first, Life Reboot. Do you have any final thoughts for us?
Thanks very much for the Restream team, racing crew. Appreciate everyone. Being able to highlight newbies like me as we participate in this very enjoyable tournament. It's my first spring tournament, and I'm having a lot of fun. So I look forward to next week.
Excellent, thank you. One Fine Day. You have any final thoughts going through this?
Well, I've been sharing my thoughts for probably a half hour now. Just want to clarify something. On the Nightmare Evil Man grind, the only reason I did the grind at all was because of Warp being at level 5 and at tier 5, and I needed levels to be able to cast it for anywhere else I'd want to go, whether I wanted to go to Ice or Waterfall or Sea. I knew I needed Warp, so I just got the grind to level 15, and then I just immediately jumped into Ice Cave and did that. Aside from that, it's a great race. I'm pretty happy with this party for its purposes. I may have to tinker with my strategy a bit, maybe change the party formation, assuming I have a free choice. Obviously, in the brackets, it's going to be a draft, so the strategy is not likely going to be a party I would choose in a draft situation. But yeah. So, looking forward to next week.
All right. Yeah, we're all looking forward to see. Obviously, always an exciting race to watch when you're involved. So I'm Elastoid. I'm just gonna say big thank you to Randomadia for hosting us. Big thank you to Math Girl for restreaming. Thank you to Sunny and MG Weirdo for tracking, and MG for jumping into comms with me as well at short notice. Thank you to our streamers, and thank you to our admins in the Discord, and Danny and Caleb specifically, and Wout for doing all the work to organize all of this. So with that, I'm last out. I'm going to hand this over to MG Weirdo to close us out.
I couldn't have said it better. So thank you, everyone, and we look forward to our next races. We've got a full weekend ahead of us. So and then next week we even go to my favorite week, which is Sky Week. So I will see you then, and take care.